MDMA, or 3,4-methylindioxymethamphetamine, is a synthetic drug that belongs to the class of chemicals known as amphetamines. It was first synthesized in 1912 by the pharmaceutical company Merck, primarily as part of an effort to create a compound that could control bleeding. However, it wasn't until the 1970s that MDMA began to gain attention for its psychoactive properties, particularly its ability to enhance sensory experiences and foster feelings of emotional closeness. During the 1970s and 1980s, MDMA gained popularity in the context of psychotherapy, where it was used by some therapists to facilitate emotional breakthroughs in patients. MDMA was thought to enhance empathy, communication, and emotional connection, which is why it was sometimes called the empathy drug. In the early 1980s, however, MDMA's recreational use began to spread, particularly within the rave and party scenes, where it was used for its stimulating and euphoric effects. This led to concerns about abuse, and in 1985, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, classified MDMA as a Schedule I controlled substance, which means it is considered to have a high potential for abuse and no accepted medical use in the U.S. This brought MDMA's legal use to a halt, although it remained popular in underground circles. MDMA's popularity continues today, especially in party environments and within certain therapeutic contexts, where research into its potential as a treatment for PTSD and other mental health issues is ongoing. Now, let's take a look at some statistics regarding MDMA use, abuse, and its effects. MDMA is primarily used recreationally, often in social settings like concerts, clubs, and raves, where it's commonly associated with the effects of heightened sensations, emotional closeness, and euphoria. You can use it in many ways, such as you can use MDMA by swallowing gel caps, pill, powder, liquid, snorted, and occasionally smoked. MDMA can also be called Molly, Mandy, Medusa, and Ecstasy. They're usually colorful tablets or have colorful tablets. MDMA can change who you are and have bad long-term effects such as changes in verbal memory like forgetting words or forgetting how to speak in general. It can have long-term visual effects if you take it over and over. It can make you have visual effects even after the trip. It can have long-term memory effects such as Parkinson's or dementia. It can also make it to where you don't recognize you're alive and kinda make you on autopilot for the rest of your life. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, NIDA, approximately 1.5 million Americans reported using MDMA in the past year. Among these users, it's especially popular among young adults aged 18 to 25, who tend to view it as a party drug or a way to enhance social interactions. However, MDMA use carries significant risks, particularly when it's used in a non-controlled or illicit setting. Unfortunately, as with many recreational drugs, MDMA also has the potential for abuse and overdose. Overdose statistics are harder to pinpoint precisely because MDMA is often mixed with other substances, but there have been reports of fatalities associated with both acute toxicity and complications like hypothermia, dangerously high body temperature, and water intoxication. Unfortunately, as with many recreational drugs, MDMA also has the potential for abuse and overdose. Overdose statistics are harder to pinpoint precisely because MDMA is often mixed with other substances, but there have been reports of fatalities associated with both acute toxicity and complications like hypothermia, dangerously high body temperature, and water intoxication. Despite these dangers, MDMA is widely used, with an estimated 1 in 10 young adults reporting use at some point in their lives. Finally, let's discuss the legal consequences and laws surrounding MDMA. As mentioned earlier, MDMA was classified as a Schedule I controlled substance by the DEA in 1985, meaning it is illegal to manufacture, distribute, or possess MDMA in the United States. The classification is based on the belief that MDMA has a high potential for abuse and no legitimate medical use. As a result, the possession of even small amounts of MDMA can lead to severe penalties, including prison time and fines. For example, possessing less than 50 grams of MDMA can result in up to 1 year in prison and a fine of up to $1,000. Larger amounts or distribution can lead to significantly harsher sentences, including up to 20 years in prison for trafficking large quantities. For example, possessing less than 50 grams of MDMA can result in up to 1 year in prison and a fine of up to $1,000. Larger amounts or distribution can lead to significantly harsher sentences, including up to 20 years in prison for trafficking large quantities. Internationally, MDMA's legal status varies, but it is generally prohibited in most countries, often classified alongside other substances like ecstasy. However, there is a growing movement to explore its potential therapeutic uses. In fact, the FDA has granted breakthrough therapy designation to research into MDMA-assisted therapy for conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, signaling a shift in how MDMA is viewed in the medical community. Let's now shift our focus to addiction and dependence. While MDMA is often seen as a party drug, the potential for addiction is real, though it's generally considered less addictive than other substances like cocaine or heroin. The likelihood of developing an addiction to MDMA varies depending on the individual's history of substance use, mental health, and the frequency of use. MDMA works by significantly increasing levels of serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine in the brain, which creates intense feelings of euphoria and emotional closeness. However, after the effects wear off, users can experience a come down, a period of feeling down, anxious, or even depressed. This crash can lead some individuals to take MDMA more frequently to avoid these negative feelings, potentially increasing the risk of psychological dependence. Over time, regular use can lead to changes in the brain's reward system, making users feel that they need the drug to experience joy or emotional connection. While physical dependence, such as withdrawal symptoms, is not common, psychological dependence is more likely, particularly in social or recreational settings where the drug is part of regular activities. Overcoming addiction to MDMA typically involves a combination of therapy and support groups.
The first one says,
since MDMA primarily causes psychological dependence, addressing the emotional triggers and behaviors around drug use is key to recovery.
that is nice.
While addiction is something that affects many people, it's important to recognize that even famous individuals have faced challenges with MDMA or other substances, and some have come through it stronger. Let's look at a few notable examples. Miley Cyrus, the pop star, has been open about experimenting with various substances in her younger years. While she hasn't specifically mentioned MDMA in relation to her past, her experiences with partying and substance use have been widely publicized. Miley has shared how she's worked on turning her life around, choosing healthier habits and focusing on her music career and self-care. Mac Miller, the late rapper and musician, struggled with substance abuse for many years, including MDMA, alcohol, and other drugs. His battles with addiction were documented in his music, and his tragic death in 2018 due to a drug overdose highlighted the dangers of unchecked drug use. His story serves as a poignant reminder of the risks associated with recreational drugs like MDMA. Dr. Carl Hart, a neuroscientist and professor at Columbia University, has been open about his personal use of MDMA in the past. While he is an advocate for understanding drug use through a scientific lens, he also emphasizes the importance of responsible use and awareness of the potential risks. Dr. Hart is notable because he has continued his career and advocacy work while overcoming past struggles with substance use. Now, let's talk about treatment options for MDMA addiction. There are several approaches that can help individuals recover from psychological dependence on MDMA, and treatment often depends on the severity of the addiction and the individual's needs. Here are some common treatments. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. This therapy helps individuals identify and change negative thought patterns and behaviors that contribute to substance use. CBT is highly effective for treating psychological dependence, as it focuses on changing the emotional triggers and coping mechanisms associated with drug use. Motivational interviewing, MI. This is a therapeutic approach that focuses on helping individuals resolve ambivalence about quitting drugs. It is often used early in treatment to help users find the motivation to stop using MDMA and make changes to their lifestyle. Support groups, peer-based support groups like Narcotics Anonymous, NA, or Smart Recovery can provide individuals with a sense of community and shared experiences. These groups often help people stay sober and navigate the emotional and social challenges of recovery. Medications. Though there is no specific medication to treat MDMA addiction, some people may be prescribed medications for co-occurring mental health conditions like depression or anxiety, which can help alleviate symptoms that might trigger a relapse. If you or someone you know is struggling with MDMA use, there are resources available to help. One place you can reach out to is the Recovery Village. Address 8008 West Kenyon Avenue, Suite 400, Denver, Colorado 80210. Phone 877-847-2636. They offer comprehensive addiction treatment programs and are a great starting point for those seeking help with any substance use disorder, including MDMA addiction. It's never too late to seek help, and with the right support, recovery is possible.